Hey everybody, we are officially live for the second workshop of our spring semester. Excited to dive in, although I think I might be having some technical difficulties. Oh, whoops. Let me go to my Switch channel, to my Ambition Emotion channel, and YouTube Studio. Let's see if this is here. Um, are we currently live? Oh, got it. Perfect. I think we're officially live now. I think I figured it out. All right, sweet. There we are. Live control room. We are officially live. Whoops. Just trying to find my link. We're going to get started in 7 minutes. So if you are watching this right now, or rather, if you're watching the recording of this right now, um, feel free to fast forward by 7 minutes. If you are joining us live, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. Grateful to have you here. Excited to dive in. But I'm just looking for my stream URL, which for whatever reason is being a little different than normal. Oh, get shareable link. There it is. Let me just test this out myself. Handy dandy incognito mode. There it is. All righty. We are officially live. Fantastic. All righty. So I'm going to send this to my colleague, Jake. He is going to send you the live link so you can jump in and join us for our mentor workshop. All righty. Introduce yourselves in the chat if you don't mind. Is anybody excited about March Madness going on? Oh, amazing. We're sent. We're officially live. Is anybody yeah, well, we're about to get started. I'm excited to see y'all here. We're gonna get our mentor workshop started in 6 minutes. So if you're watching the recording of this, feel free to fast forward by 6 minutes. We got a lot of fun stuff to cover in this mentor workshop this evening. Excited to have you all here. Grateful to have you all here. And yeah, we'll dig right in. Does anybody have any fun weekend plans? Has anybody anyone been doing anything fun for spring break? You know, it's so funny. I feel like as a kid, I always viewed spring break as like a great time to, go take a break or, have fun with my friends or whatever. But I feel like now that I work with a lot of leaders, spring break is not in fact a break. It's very convoluted and crazy because you're taking out care of your kids. It's like normally they'd be in school. Now you're trying to find maybe babysitter or, someone to watch your kids while you've got to still work. So it's seems like a lot, and it's fascinating looking at like the things that I would always look forward to as a kid that now I realize as an adult, and I don't have any kids yet, but it seems like a very fascinating change in mentality. Let's put it like that. All righty, we got a couple more people here. If you could introduce yourselves in the chat, that would be amazing. Fantastic. We'll get started in just a few minutes. If you follow NCAA basketball, if you've got any teams that you're rooting for, post them in the chat. I'd love to learn about it. Personally, I am a Indiana Hoosiers fan. We are clinging on for dear life right now for our NCAA tournament lives. We had a rough season, but we were playing the best basketball we played all year. But we pretty much need to win the Big Ten tournament to have a chance of making the NCAA tournament. Tonight is our very first game of the Big Ten tournament, so we'll see what happens. It's been tough. But hopefully you're if you are an NCAA basketball fan, hopefully you're a fan of a team that's doing well. Hey, Antonella, thanks for being here. Thanks for introducing yourself in the chat. We're gonna get started in just a few minutes. I was chatting before about spring break. Are you doing anything fun for spring break, Antonella? Or I was talking about the dichotomy between when you're a kid versus a parent, and the mentality about spring break changes. As a kid, I was always looking forward to spring break, but as an adult, it's things change. If you're the ones having to take care of your kids, or that's a lot to manage. So are you going anywhere for spring break, or do you even have a spring break? We'd love to learn about it. Post in the comments. If you're an NCAA basketball fan, who's your team of choice? Post it in the chat. We'd love to learn about it. Oh, nice. Health Services Management. Very cool. So, did you do anything fun for spring break, Antonella? Your Sophia course for spring break. What is a Sophia course? I've never heard of that, but good for you. Good for you for graduating early. That's amazing. Congratulations. All right, we are 1 minute away from starting. I'm excited to kick off and dig in. It's a sister site for, oh, very nice. Very cool. That's cool. Well, congratulations, Antonella. That would be, yeah, really cool to graduate early. I think that's always amazing. For all newcomers joining, if you could introduce yourselves in the chat. If you watch or follow NCAA basketball, who is your team of choice? Post it in the chat. We'd love to learn who's your favorite basketball team. If you did anything fun for spring break, or if you're planning on doing anything fun for spring break, post in the chat as well. We'd love to learn about it. But let's dive in. It is officially 6 o'clock here in Austin, Texas, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock on the West, 5 o'clock in Mountain Time. Let's dive in to our mentor workshop this evening. So we've officially made all of our mentor introductions. We had some technical challenges whenever we're making intros, connecting people, making sure everyone's connected. So you should have your mentee right now so far. If you haven't, we will notify you of just next steps moving forward. Sometimes what ends up happening is we have such a great influx of mentors signing up for the mentor program for the semester that we just may not have a mentee for you for that semester, but it's got nothing to do with you. I just wanted to say that it's, sometimes just the way the algorithm works. Now, I will say this, with our mentor matching algorithm, we do have optimization. So if you aren't a mentor paired with a mentee this semester, we will optimize it so then you are definitely paired with a mentee for the fall semester. So bear with us. We will get you connected with a student or with a mentee for next semester if we don't have a mentee for you for this semester. And I also would love to just stay in touch as well, as we do have mastermind groups and other different programs for leaders or people that want to be leaders to engage with mentors as well. We're all about mentorship here at Ambition Emotion. We always want to connect people with mentors to facilitate mentor relationships, not only as you as the mentor, but also for you to get mentoring and connect with people as you grow and progress in your career. Hey, everybody, welcome. Thanks for introducing yourself in the chat. Chi-Chi, thanks for being here. Michelle, thanks for being here. Jana, thanks for being here. Hey, Julie, thanks for being here. Let's dive in. So what we're going to cover today in our workshop this evening is we're going to cover One, how to set proper expectations for your mentor relationship. Two, the best way to handle any issues you may have with your mentee. And three, how to help students with key issues that they face on a regular basis, like finding balance and identifying a vision. I know I shared with you before, one thing I'll share in these mentor workshops are suggested questions you can ask your mentee to build a deeper relationship with your mentee and just grow your relationship with them over time. What we're going to cover today in this workshop is how to go about some questions you can ask to really build and develop that relationship with your mentee. We're going to send a follow-up email, like I said a couple minutes ago. If you've not been paired with your mentee, with a mentee yet, it means that we do not have a mentee for you this semester. It does not mean that you're a bad mentor. It does not mean that we don't like you. It just means that we had a really amazing turnout from mentors from your organization over this semester, and we will optimize our mentor matching algorithm. So the next semester you do get a mentee. We would love to have you. And we're just really grateful for your participation. And if you're interested in engaging with us on other mentor opportunities, we have mastermind groups for people wanting to connect with mentors that are in leadership roles or aspiring to be in leadership roles, and would love to have you in that. If you have any questions about anything at all, whether that be connecting with your mentee, if you're struggling to connect with your mentee, if you haven't heard back from anything, if you have any questions about this workshop, please email support@ambitioninmotion.com. Or if you're here with me live, post your questions in the chat. We'd love to answer them and go over that. So we're going to talk about those key things, how to set proper expectations in your mentor relationship, how to handle any issues you may have with your mentee. So maybe you had a scenario where they didn't show up on time, or if you felt they didn't come in as prepared as you would like, or they had noise in the background, you felt it was distracting, or they asked to reschedule on short notice. There's a variety of things that, maybe a mentee may do that maybe sets a sour taste in your mouth. And how do you go about handling that? And I'm going to cover how to go about handling that during this workshop today, as well as how to ask questions to help your student find balance and identify a vision for themselves. But before we dive into that, I'd love to cover what are the three keys for successful mentorships. And really, I think these are three keys for any successful mentor relationship, or for any successful relationship, and that is your strategy, your story, and your state. So when I say your strategy, story, state, what I mean by that is from a state perspective, physically, how are you right now in that moment when you're meeting with your mentee? Are you coming in with energy, or are you coming in like, gosh, I've been drained, this has been a tough day, where are you at? And if you are coming in with I've been drained, it's been a tough day, that's okay. Not every day is meant to be perfect. Shoot, some days are tiring, more tiring than others. That's okay. But what I would suggest that you do is get your body into a physical state conducive for being successful. This can mean dancing. It could mean shaking it out. It could mean rolling your head. It could be getting into a power pose. It could be fake smiling. It could be fake laughing for 30 seconds. There's so many fun things you can do to trick your brain, send endorphins to your brain to make you feel energized, to make you feel happy, to make you feel excited. If you can be intentional about your physical state, like how are you in this moment, you're much more likely to have a really positive relationship with your mentee or anybody that you're interacting with, even if you may have had a tough day that day. Second key, story. What is the story you tell yourself for why you will or will not be successful? That story is so critical. So if you tell yourself a story for why you will be successful, you are more likely than not going to manifest that outcome. If you tell yourself a story for why you won't be successful, you're also more likely than not going to manifest that outcome. So the question I always like to ask mentors is, what do you think about your abilities will make you an amazing mentor? Why are you an amazing mentor for a mentee? That's a question I love to ask mentors, because it helps you get into a frame of mind of what are you doing that's amazing, that is bringing great light to the table for your mentee. And like I said before in our previous workshop last week, the best mentors ask the best questions. So what are the questions you come in to the table with to really have an inquisitive and curious approach to building your mentorship bond? So that's really so critical. And that leads to the strategy element of what are the questions you ask? What are the things that you do? What are the strategies you try? If you maybe, helped your student with revamping their resume, fantastic. That's amazing. Maybe you help them with the cover letter. Maybe you do a mock interview with them. Maybe you try things to ask them questions to make them think about the interview in a different way, or maybe think about their career path in a different way. Either way, if you can come in with an inquisitive, curious approach, you're much more likely to have a really successful relationship with your mentee. So let's talk about setting proper expectations. Well, actually, first, let me take a moment to pause. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've shared so far? So Michelle, yes, the matches have already happened. My colleague Jake is facilitating all of them right now. If you are not paired with a mentee quite yet, well, one, check your spam folder. There's a chance that your mentor or your mentorship introduction is in your spam folder. Always like to check that first. If we don't have a mentee for you quite yet, we will have a mentee for you next semester. Bear with us. It's just if we have such a great outpouring of mentors that sign up for the program over a semester and we don't have as many mentees, sometimes there's just we're not able to pair everybody together, but it's got nothing to do with you. Seriously, you are an incredible mentor, and we are really excited to connect you with a mentee for future semesters. So I really sincerely want to convey that notion, because sometimes I think sometimes mentors hear this and like, oh my gosh, I wasn't paired with a mentee this semester. Like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You are amazing and really excited to have you as a mentor. But sometimes when we don't have as many mentees to pair with mentors, we just have an imbalance of numbers. It's purely a math equation. And we're really excited to connect you with the mentee next semester. And we really hope that you participate as a mentor next semester. But I just always like to strive to convey the message. It's just sometimes a numbers thing. And when we don't have enough, when we don't have enough mentees to fulfill all the meetings with all of our mentors, we just may end up with more mentors than we do mentees. But we are really excited to connect you with the mentee next semester, and we'll ensure that we do as we really work towards optimizing our mentorships for that. Hey, Keisha, thanks for saying hey. Hey, Dan, welcome. Oh, fantastic, Terry. We had your first meeting yesterday. No, it was not too soon to meet. Mentorship introductions have already been made. Fantastic. I'm excited that you're already starting with the meetings. That's excellent. You're doing it great, Tara. Fantastic. Hey, Nicole from New Jersey, welcome. Yeah, fantastic, Dan. Excellent. This is great. Hey, Juliet, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I just wanted to clarify those couple things. If you have any questions, post them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. So how to go about setting proper expectations. So I'll say this. Your first call should be all about your mentee. Learn what is going on in the world. Ask them questions. I'm a big fan of asking them to share their story, starting with kindergarten, what their dream job is, and then where they would like to be in 5 years. So if you're taking notes, what's a great way to get to know someone really quickly? Ask them to share their story, starting with kindergarten. Then ask them what their dream job is, and then where they would like to be in 5 years. The reason why I love to ask that question about what's your story starting with kindergarten is I think we often think that that's not important parts of our lives. Like when you ask people like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself, they really just kind of start with what they're doing right now. But I think so many experiences play a role in how we get to where we're at through our young lives and into our careers. Maybe they played on a sports team. Maybe they were part of speech and debate. Maybe they, had made some mistakes early on, and that really helped formulate who they are today. And that adversity helped make them stronger for who they are right now. But when you ask that question, you can really get a better idea as to who they are and where they're coming from. I then like to ask what their dream job is, because it helps them give them an eye on the prize for what they can work towards. And then where they like to be in 5 years. It helps them create contextual, here's something that's more of a bite-sized drink. Like I think it's easy for us to have like a dream job, and it's hard for us to think how we're going to get there. And I think if we ask where would they like to be in 5 years, typically after asking what their dream job is, they're much more likely to have a big, hairy, audacious goal for that 5-year plan, but within reason, within where they're at right now. I think if you don't ask what their dream job is first and you just ask where do they want to be in 5 years, they might sell themselves short. But if you ask them where the dream job is first and then where they like to be in 5 years, I think you're going to get a whole lot more of an ambitious response from your mentee. So once you've learned this information, ask them what they believe is one thing that they can work on between now and your next call that will help them get closer to accomplishing their goals. Now you may think, oh my gosh, okay, 5 years versus next month, like that's a huge, gap in difference. I will say this, when you get someone focused on a big, hairy, audacious goal, it is easier for people to take smaller steps on a regular basis towards taking actions towards their goals. I think it's easy for people to procrastinate and put off their big, hairy, audacious goals and wait until some later date that may never end up coming because they didn't take actions now. I'm a big fan of the book Atomic Habits. One of the core tenets of the book is that if we take small actions on a regular basis, we're much more likely to see big outcomes happen over time. So whether that means, and this applies to anything, whether we're talking about getting in shape, achieving our career goals, achieving any goal we may have for ourselves, if we take incremental steps on a daily basis and have regularity with that, we are much more likely to achieve our goals. And so when I ask that question to a student, to a mentee, like, what is one thing that they can work on between now and our next call to help them get closer to accomplishing their goals? You now have something that you can check in with them on before your next meeting. You should write down what that one thing is. So hopefully you remember it. If you store it up here, fantastic. If you write it down, amazing too. But what's really great and shows that you care is that you follow up with them on that thing that they said they wanted to work on between their first call with you and their second call with you. So I really want to stress asking them what is that one thing they can work on between now and your next call to get them closer to accomplishing their goals. Really, really powerful thing that you can do. So adjacent to setting proper expectations is handling issues. So you may have a student that showed up late, or maybe you felt like they didn't come prepared, or maybe they had some noise in the background and it was distracting, or maybe they asked to reschedule on short notice, or anything that could have frustrated you. This is normal. Sometimes when dealing with college students, this is something that happens, and that's okay. But the first step, I would say, my suggestion is to not get mad at them and tell them what they did was wrong. That is the easiest way to lose a mentor relationship. It's an easiest way to turn off a mentee. This might be their very first foray into mentorship. And so if you say, hey, when you meet with me, like, I'm a busy person, I've got all these things going on. When you show up 10 minutes late or when you show up unprepared, you're wasting my time. If you tell them that, they're not likely interested in wanting to have follow-up conversations with you. It's a big turnoff. And so my big suggestion is to go through the call like as if nothing happened. Maybe they showed up 10 minutes late. You say, hey, you know what? Let's just dive in. Let's ask questions. Let me build a really inquisitive, powerful relationship with this mentee. But by the end of the call, you say this: I really enjoyed our first call. Did you? They will likely say yes. Why? Because you proceeded, you asked them questions, you showed curiosity, you showed that you cared about them. And then you say this: I feel like I can offer you a lot as your mentor, but for our future conversations, there are some things that I would like from you. First, if we say that we're going to meet at 10, then we start the call at 10. Or if we say that we're going to have a meeting, my expectation is that there are no distractions in the background, or that you come in prepared with some questions that you'd like to ask into that meeting. Whatever the expectation is, I'm just using the time as an example. If we say that we're going to meet at 10, and we start at 10, then we start at 10. Can I count on you to be on time for our next meeting? Or can I count on you to not have distractions in the background for our next meeting? Or can I count on you to come in prepared with questions for our next meeting? By waiting to set the expectations after building rapport, you are significantly more likely to have a strong relationship with your student than if you just get mad at them at the very beginning of the conversation. Why? Because rapport is everything. If you build rapport first, you're much more likely to have a really strong and sound relationship with your mentee, because then they're like, wow, this person really cares about me. They really want to see me thrive and succeed. And they took the time to truly care. I now realize that, I could do better, and I learned what I could do to be better. And yeah, I'm going to do my best to follow that. So that is my suggestion on how to handle a scenario that might be a little frustrating. Don't blow up on them. Don't lambast them. Don't, argue with them or get, hasty with them. Go through the call, be empathetic, be inquisitive, be curious, and then ask for permission to say, hey, I enjoyed this call. First call, did you? They'll say yes, and then set some expectations. So, any questions about anything I've shared so far about handling any potential challenges that you may have with your mentee? Hey, Khadijah, welcome. Thanks for saying hey. Hey, Paulette, thanks for saying hey in the chat. Okay, great. Looks like no additional questions. So I've got some suggested questions. So I'm going to talk about how to help a student, how to help your mentee have a vision and find balance. So when it comes to identifying a vision, and this is really helpful, especially with a mentee that's like, hey, I'm going through the motions, I'm getting my degree, I'm trying to work towards this outcome with my career, I'm trying to get that internship, or trying to get this job, or whatever it may be. I like to ask them 5 questions to help them clarify their vision. The first question I like to ask is, if this situation were to work out in the best way possible, what would it be? That's the first question I like to ask. I'll post this in the chat. If this situation were to work out in the best way possible, what would it be? I love to ask that question because what that does is it helps your mentee think about, okay, what is the true best outcome that I could be setting for myself? The second question I like to ask is what is one thing that seems impossible, but with a little luck and a lot of work, just might be within reach? I love asking this question because what this does is it helps your mentee conceptualize, oh my gosh, here's something that I can have in my control. I think sometimes when it comes to our dream jobs or a vision of where we like to be, we put people on pedestals like we can't actually get there. But if we talk about things that, with a little luck and a lot of work, we might be able to get there, it now becomes real to us. Third question I like to ask with helping a student with their vision, what will you commit to doing today, this week, this month? I love asking that because it starts creating an action plan about what they can do to start getting the outcome that they want to achieve. So sometimes I see with a lot of mentor relationships, what will end up happening is you'll talk about their challenges, but you feel like, gosh, I don't know how helpful I am to them. Like I feel like we don't necessarily have the right next steps. By asking these questions, you're going to have some next steps that you lead to, and maybe they don't follow up on those next steps, and that's okay. But by getting to think about the next steps, you are doing an immense job at helping them take action towards their goals. The fourth question I like to ask is, who do you know that thinks big? This helps them get out of the box. This helps them realize, like, okay, cool. I know some people that think big. I'm a big believer that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I learned that at a Tony Robbins seminar. I believe it's 100% true. If you help your student think about people who think big, and then you can start saying, like, hey, how do we spend more time with those people that think big? That's really helpful. And then the last question I like to ask a mentee when it comes to vision is, what in your life keeps you thinking small? This helps us have a little reality check. I know it's a hard question to ask, but it's a reality check that can be really helpful for our mentee, because what it does is it allows us to realize, okay, gosh, there are some inhibiting beliefs that is stopping me from getting to where I'd like to be. And there are some there are some things that keeps me thinking small. I've got to eradicate those from my life. So those are the 5 questions I like to ask to help a student or a mentee with their vision. Those, just repeat those questions. They're in the chat. But the one is, if this situation will work out in the best way possible, what would that be? 2 is, what is one thing that seems impossible with a little luck and a lot of work just might be within reach? 3 is, what will you commit to doing today, this week, this month? 4 is, who do you know that thinks big? And 5 is, what in your life keeps you thinking small? Now, there are 7 questions that I like to ask to help a student find balance. Now, sometimes when you're working with a mentee or a student, they might have a lot of priorities that they're working through. They're trying to figure out, what to focus on or what to do. And you may look at this, and it's so funny. It's so easy as a mentor to see the forest from the trees for other people's lives, but sometimes it's a difficult thing for our own. I think that's also the case with mentees too. But one thing you can do to help them find balance is ask them these 7 questions that help them get on an even level playing field, and just really identify where they need to be and what they need to focus their time on. So question 1, what do you want to say yes to in your life? So the reason why that's such a great question to ask is because by asking the question, what do you want to say yes to in your life, you are now going to clarify exactly how do they want to spend their time, where do they think they need to be spending their time, what do they want to be spending their time doing? Second question I like to ask, what do you need to say no to? This helps them have a little reality check as well, because they're looking at this and they're going to think to themselves, like, gosh, there are definitely some things in my life that I need to say no to, but I keep doing because they don't know why. And by the way, there are probably some things even in your own life where you're like, gosh, I'm spending my time not optimally and I keep doing these things, but I don't necessarily know why. Maybe it's a crutch. Maybe you like doing it. Maybe you know it's not good for you, but you do it anyways. I don't know. But if you can help them by asking, what do you need to say no to? It helps them and you clarify, do they know what good and bad habits they have? The third question I like to ask is, when do you feel pulled off center? So I love to ask this question because what it does is it helps us realize when we're out of sync, when we're out of balance with what's going on in our life and in our career and the things that we're trying to work towards. The fourth question I like to ask is, what contributes to this feeling? So this is a great question to ask because it allows us to get a follow-up to the what makes you feel pulled off center and not let it like fester, but really what contributes to that feeling. Is it when I get pulled off center, I feel flustered and discombobulated and unorganized and not prepared? Or is it, when I feel off center, I feel like I'm constantly rushing, I'm putting out fires, I'm never really on top of anything, and I don't do anything really that well. There's a variety of factors that could be at play here, but if you ask them what contributes to this feeling, you're able to clarify in their mind what is contributing to them feeling off center. The fifth question I like to ask is, when do you feel most grounded in life? So I love to ask this question because what this question does is it helps you understand what makes them feel really connected to not only their work and their life, but just the things that make them feel good and make them feel like they're doing a really good thing. I love to ask what makes them feel most grounded in life. The sixth question I like to ask is, what in your life takes away from what might be possible for you? What in your life takes away from what might be possible for you? This is going to help you clarify. I mean, really what we're circling around here is, what are the things we want to do more of? What are the things that we need to do less of? And how do we go about putting our life in balance so then we can get there? Because it's easy as mentors to just jump right into suggestion mode. But what have I said before? The best mentors ask the best questions. We don't want to jump right into suggestion mode. Instead, we want to ask questions and get curious. We want to learn and let them decide their own action plan and not us decide it for them. It's easy for us to give our suggestions and dive right into what we think they should do based on our experiences, but the best mentors ask the best questions. And because we're asking the best questions, we're helping them set their own action plan, which is going to lead to greater actual action happening. It's much more likely that they're going to follow through on something they created for themselves than for something you created for them. And then the seventh question I like to ask is, what in your life adds to who you are? What in your life adds to who you are? I love to ask that question because it allows us to better understand who is amplifying your mentee versus who's detracting from your mentee, or what is attracting your mentee. Sometimes we've got people in our life or things in our life that are not serving us, but we stick with them because maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's things we've been doing for forever, and we don't think about like what in your life adds to who we are and what we want to be doing more of. Those are the 7 questions I love to ask a mentee to help them find balance. So I'll repeat them real quick. 1, what do you want to say yes to in your life? 2, what do you need to say no to? 3, when do you feel pulled off center? 4, what contributes to this feeling? 5, when do you feel most grounded in life? 6, what in your life takes away from what might be possible for you? And then 7, what in your life adds to who you are? Those are the questions I like to ask a mentee when it comes to helping them find balance. So that's the core of our workshop this evening. That's really, the core suggestions that I have for you all. Does anybody have any questions? Post it in the chat. I'm here live, and I love doing these live because I can interact with you all live while we go through this. But hopefully these suggestions were helpful. All right, I'm back. I don't know what just happened, but thanks for your patience. I just must have had some connectivity issues, but I'm back now. If you have any questions about anything that I've shared with you during this workshop this evening, post it in the chat. If not, I'm excited to learn how your next mentor conversations go. How often should we check in meetings? How often should check-in meetings occur? I mean, the program's requirements are 3 30-minute meetings over the course of the semester, Santiago. So you can choose to yeah, so Dan and Santiago, same answer. The requirement for the program is 3 30-minute meetings with your mentee over the course of the semester. Now, if you choose to have more meetings, amazing, fantastic. If you choose to meet for longer than 30 minutes, that's amazing too. But yeah, the requirement for the program is 3 30-minute meetings. Thanks for asking. By the way, sorry for my technical difficulties. Are there any milestones that our mentees should have the program that we need to know about? Nope, that's that's essentially it. So I'll just post in the chat 30-minute mentor meetings over the course of the semester. Any other questions? Great questions, by the way, Dan and Santiago. No, Cliff, you're good. No worries. You can watch, by the way, the recording of this workshop um, via the same link that Jake had sent out to you earlier today. So if you're like, gosh, I missed some part, or I'd love to recap some of the questions that you proposed, Garrett, in the workshop, please feel free to review or recap this workshop again at a later date. But everybody, thanks for your time this evening. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night. And I look forward to seeing you in our next workshop. Our next workshop will be, let me pull it up on the calendar. Next workshop will be, nope. There it is. Thursday, April 4th, same exact time. I look forward to seeing you all then. But thanks for being a mentor, everybody. Thanks for attending this mentor workshop. If you've got any questions about anything that I've shared this evening, please feel free to email my colleague Jake at